I will encourage you to listen on March 12th when I make my contribution in the budget debate. I will be providing an alternative. We are looking at all the expenditure items when we are going to see where we can find the gap of 29 billion and how that can be funded. The environment we're coming out of requires policies that will support growth. Every one of the revenue measures has the opposite effect. It will contract because it has a negative impact on cost of living, particularly for the most vulnerable. It decreases our competitiveness, particularly in tourism, also in digital services.
Jamaica's 2026 to 2027 national budget introduces a major package of tax increases and revenue measures expected to generate nearly 30 billion Jamaican dollars. The revenue package was presented in the House of Representatives by Finance Minister Fayval Williams as part of the government's fiscal strategy for the upcoming financial year. According to the government, the objective is to strengthen public finances while maintaining macroeconomic stability. So let's go through each measure. The new Special Consumption Tax, or SCT, will apply to non-alcoholic sweetened beverages. This measure is projected to generate over 10 billion Jamaican dollars in revenue. This tax will affect beverage manufacturers, importers, retailers, and consumers. Retail prices may increase depending on how companies pass on the cost to consumers. The Special Consumption Tax on alcoholic beverages will increase. The tax per liter of pure alcohol is rising and will affect rum, beer, wine, and spirits. The government estimates this will generate approximately 1.6 billion Jamaican dollars. The Special Consumption Tax on cigarettes will increase from 17 Jamaican dollars per stick to 20 Jamaican dollars per stick. This change is projected to generate roughly 1.1 billion Jamaican dollars. Officials from the Ministry of Finance have stated that this serves both fiscal and public health objectives. General Consumption Tax, or GCT, will now apply to certain digital services supplied from overseas providers. This may include streaming services, online subscriptions, digital advertising, and cloud-based platforms. Initial revenue is estimated at approximately 300 million Jamaican dollars. The reduced GCT rate for tourism-related activities will increase from 10% to 15%, effective April 2027. This will affect hotel accommodations, attractions, and tour services. The projected revenue impact is over $11 billion. The tourism sector has raised concerns about competitiveness, while the government argues the adjustment aligns the sector with broader tax policy.
It is a death knell for the small Jamaican hotels. We've already had an increase in the electricity bills, a massive increase, and now we're looking at an increase in the GCT.
Public sector workers who previously benefited from a full GCT exemption on imported motor vehicles will now be required to pay GCT. Customs duty concessions may still apply, but the GCT exemption will be removed. This measure is expected to generate approximately 1.3 billion Jamaican dollars. The Environmental Protection Levy, or EPL, is a tax on both imported and locally manufactured goods that helps the government pay for waste management and other environmental protection efforts.
Consumers are set to pay more for locally manufactured and imported goods with the announced increase in the Environmental Protection Levy. The base on the domestic levy is 75%, but it will now move to 100% of sales. Come May 1, 2026, the Environmental Protection Levy on imported and local goods will also move from 0.5 to 0.8%. But where do people normally pay this tax?
Where I normally see it is when you import something. So if you bring in your barrel, being basic, people who go and import things on, they bring things in and you see your customs invoice, you will see an environmental protection levy there. Manufacturers will also see it. But what it is, it's a tax on the cost of what you bring in or the cost of what you manufacture. That environmental levy is going to go on everything. So that means it's going to increase costs. As you know, globally costs are an issue.
In addition to tax measures, the budget includes the continuation of annual transfers from the National Housing Trust to the central government. The transfer is approximately 11.4 billion Jamaican dollars per year, scheduled over a 5-year period.
Now, in 2013, when the PNP government had just come into office, we faced a situation where the debt of the country was completely out of control. We'd inherited that from Bruce Golding, his regime, who had entered into an IMF agreement. You remember they had to abandon it. They weren't performing any of the commitments under it. And we had to bring things back under control and get the debt down. And we got advice, independent professional financial advice that said that if we did this for 4 years, it wouldn't impact adversely the NHT's performance of its mandate. And the decision was taken to help to get Jamaica back on its feet at a critical time by this 4-year commitment. And the law was amended to allow that. Since then, 10 years, the government has each year taken another $11.4 billion out of the National Housing Trust. They passed amendments to the NHT Act twice to allow them to do that. So you can imagine how disappointing it is to hear yesterday when they tabled the revenue measures that they plan to extend that for a further 5 years, take $11.4 billion a year out of the National Housing Trust for 5 more years. That's $57 billion on top of the $114 billion that they've already taken out of the NHT over the last 10 years.
Combined, these measures are projected to generate approximately $29 to $30 billion in additional revenue. If these taxes go into effect as planned, some measures will take effect in 2026, while others will begin in 2027. We will continue monitoring debates surrounding these taxes, implementation timelines, and any amendments as discussions continue. Thank you for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Until next time.